Palm Beach Player of the Week is American Heritage Delray quarterback Mason Caston. In his last game, Mason threw for a touchdown and then ran for 3. He currently has 7 touchdowns both through the air and on the ground to have the Stallions at 5-1 on the season. Here he is on wanting to be a great role model for his young team.
Trying to build up my line. We have a young team that's coming up. Hopefully when I graduate, pass down so they could keep coming up in years to come.
Congratulations, Mason, on being selected the Land Rover Palm Beach Player of the Week. Good luck to you and the rest of the Stallions on the remainder of the season.
Tee up your taste buds with the ultimate pairing, great food, and golf. Theo Dorsey here at The House in West Palm Beach. Overlooking the park's world-class 18-hole golf course, The House offers coastal American dishes that will satisfy anyone's palate. The House is open Thursday through Sunday for lunch, brunch, and dinner. Stop by for an entree and receive a free round at the park's The Lit 9 Par 3 course. On The House. Visit thehousewestpalm.com for their full menu and to make reservations.
I'm Wendy Sartori-Link, your Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. Election Day is November 5th. Voting by mail is easy and secure. Request online at votepalmbeach.gov or call us at 561-656-6208. Return your ballot with prepaid postage or drop it off at one of our secure locations during designated hours. Our online ballot tracker allows you to get live updates on the status of your ballot, and the deadline to request is Thursday, October 24th. No matter how you vote this November, we're here to make it count. Sponsored by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections Office.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Huddle up.
66 Hitchx Vegas Flare. I'm one ready.
It's time to break down the boldest plays.
Let's go, baby. Boom.
Hardest hits. And the craziest stories from around the NFL.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
It's a beautiful Sunday in late October. Fully fledged in fall. It's Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. Colin Russo here. Joined us alongside me behind the glass is Cade Chumsland as always. We're presented, as always, as well, by Hard Rock Bet. Entering Week 7, you've seen the first few weeks of the football season. You have an understanding of the trends, the identities of every team. It's time to get involved on Hard Rock Bet. Last year, couldn't bet in Florida legally until Week 14, but now, only in Week 7, we could get off and running on Hard Rock Bet today. You could also bet on college football, too. The MLB playoffs have been absolutely outstanding with a terrific Yankee game last night. You could bet on that as well. Each game, bet on the touchdown scores, passing yards, other points, total points, who's going to win, and so much more. Even if you don't want to bet a ton of money, put together a parlay. String together a bunch of bets that ups your odds. In Week 1, a Florida bettor went 16 for 16. Turned a $15 bet into over $100,000. Picked every winner of Week 1 in that one. Parlayed it together, 16 for 16. And $100,000 in your pocket. He did that on Hard Rock Bet. There's so many different types of bets that you could choose from. If you don't know what to choose from, go to the Discover page. The Discover page has so many different options in terms of telling you where the money is, where are the trendy picks, where are trendy parlays. They make it for you. It makes it so easy. It's got the sophistication that the experienced player wants, but it's also new and simple enough and sleek enough where the newer player can walk in and get acclimated seamlessly. That's how effective that's how perfect the Hard Rock Bet app is. Go get started today. Download the Hard Rock Bet app on the App Store or Google Play Store, or go online to hardrock.bet. Try it now and get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. That first bet can be a parlay, can be a prop, the over, whatever you like to bet. Any games you choose, you either win your first bet, or you get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. Try it today. Hard Rock Bets offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Well, Week 7 in the NFL is rolling on here. We got another international game on the early side of things, so we got you until 9:15. Jaguars are playing once again in London. And they got the Patriots this time around at Wembley Stadium. Jaguars, Patriots, both sitting at 1-5. Drake May under center on the Patriots side of things. And Jacksonville, one of the more laughable teams in the NFL, going back at it in London, see if they could conjure up anything that's remotely watchable. We'll see on that. That's on the early slate of things. Of course, the Dolphins are back after a bye week. They're on the road at Indianapolis today. That's a 1 p.m. kick. That will be on a Fox. Tua Tagovailoa is ramping up towards playing in the Cardinal game. That will be next week. So quarterback Tua Tagovailoa for the Miami Dolphins looks to be entering the phase where, okay, I'm going to get on the field here, and you're starting to see all signs point up for the health of the Miami Dolphins quarterback who has been out since that week 2 or week 3 concussion against the Buffalo Bills. A couple good games on the slate today. Texans at Packers, and then a divisional matchup in the Lions at the Vikings. Of course, the Lions is out as any team in the NFL right now at 4-1. Vikings coming off a bye. That will be very interesting. And a Super Bowl rematch highlighting the 4 o'clock slate. Chiefs at Niners today. Purdy and Mahomes. Once again, that should be a fascinating game. Fox has that game. So Tom Brady, who cannot criticize the officials, cannot criticize the teams, cannot enter the team's facilities, basically can't do anything as a broadcaster, will be on call for that game. So I'm curious to see how he handles that. Because due to all the rules now that he's a minority owner in the Las Vegas Raiders, he has all of these restrictions in terms of him being a broadcaster, including criticizing the officials, including being involved in the broadcast meetings, including entering team facilities, and so on and so forth. It's stupid, I know, but they're going to give it a rip. If anybody can maybe figure it out, it's Tom Brady. A lot of trades highlighted the NFL side of things this week. Davante Adams magically healed his hamstring, and he is shaping up to be playing tonight for the Jets after being traded midweek from the Raiders to the Jets immediately after that Monday Night Football loss last week. That was an ugly one for the Jets against the Bills. Davante Adams in, joining Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. And on the other side of things, the Buffalo Bills, who also played, went and acquired Amari Cooper from the Cleveland Browns. Like to loop in Cade Chumsland now. Cade, these two trades, 2 big-time receivers, I would say, on the older side. But either of these teams got it sort of for different reasons. One's out of desperation, and the other one's to bolster a team that's already pretty good. What are your reactions now that you'll see 2 teams in the AFC East bolstered their receiving core?
Well, I think that a lot is going to get proven today. The Jets going against one of the best defenses in the entire NFL when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. How Davante Adams is going to work with the other star receiver for the New York Jets in Garrett Wilson. And then as for the Buffalo Bills, I believe they're at home against Tennessee.
Yeah.
So an easy one for Josh Allen to work with Amari Cooper. I like the Amari Cooper trade a little bit more.
I would agree with that.
Because I think the Davante Adams stuff is going to get even wilder now that Garrett Wilson, who had already been complaining about not getting enough touches, gets another star wide receiver in that locker room. A lot of teams, according to Adam Schefter, have been reaching out, asking for trades about Garrett Wilson now that Aaron Rodgers has his man in Davante Adams. So how is that going to work? Is everyone going to be satisfied in that locker room?
So you're expecting a little turmoil in that Jet locker room.
There has to be clean football in order for them to win games. They're already behind the button right now, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's still going to be a little bit of fighting, a little bit of media involvement. Locker room interviews are going to be very interesting if they keep losing games, but Amari Cooper is going to be cool, calm, and collective. He's going to stay in his role. He's going to really follow Sean McDermott's lead, and I think he will play the ultimate bigger role when it comes to the Buffalo Bills.
I completely agree on the side of Amari Cooper is completely unproblematic. Nick Saban said it over the week, I think on the Pat McAfee show, talking about how Amari's a little misunderstood. He's incredibly shy. He doesn't like talking. He'll stay out of the way, but it doesn't get in the way of his work ethic and his effectiveness and his availability. Amari's been successful on multiple teams. So, and this is not his first rodeo in terms of being a plug-and-play mid-year or something like that. So I think that this Amari Cooper trade really was a home run if all health can prevail and everything. Allen will have a guy. It's not the guy, and it's not a guy that needs to be the guy. Amari Cooper just, I think, wants to win, and Allen will get a guy involved. I'm not worried about Allen getting Amari Cooper the ball. He's going to force feed him the ball at points. And the Bills are more ready, and I watched that Monday Night Football game last Monday night between the Bills and the Jets, and I thought the Bills could use a receiver. I didn't necessarily watch that and think, you know where the Jets' problems are? It's they don't have enough receivers. I didn't really think that. And I think more the Jets' problems lied in, number one, the offensive line, and number two, despite firing the coach, a little bit of inexperienced coaching. So I think that's where the red buttons, the alarms flared for me on the Jet side of things. But this is a situation in which you have to please Aaron Rodgers. If anybody has anything else to say about that, you're completely lying to yourself. This is a please Aaron Rodgers move. I know it's desperate. I know the team probably gets better off of this. But it's no coincidence that one of Aaron Rodgers' buddies forces his way out of town, and then the Jets are the first one calling. There's no way.
Can we quickly address that press conference after that game? What was Aaron Rodgers talking about? Trying to blame his own receiver. He said he was going to do a no-look pass to Mike Williams, who was running the wrong route.
Yeah, it's
but
strange.
then he says he looks over and sees that he's running the wrong route. Why did you throw the dang ball? If you knew he was running the wrong route and was covered at the same time, why did you throw such an underthrown ball at the same time? That throw was completely on Aaron Rodgers, and he's trying to blame his wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers needs to start playing smarter football when he's under duress. Roll out of the pocket just a little bit. Check down, hello, to Breece Hall, who had 15 yards of field in front of him. You are so right when you say that this is just to please Aaron Rodgers, because he's got this whole team under lock and key, and I don't think the right players, and I don't think there's enough leadership besides Aaron Rodgers, especially with the inexperience at the coaching position, for them to be able to get over his drama. And with them already having a losing record, they're not going to be able to come back.
Now, on top of that, I don't think this could all be stemmed to Aaron Rodgers not playing as well as Aaron Rodgers you'd expect. But I also think, Rodgers can take a lot of blame for that Monday Night Football loss. I also think a lot goes into that offensive line. They were a little gimmicky. They were relying on that. The deep ball and the what is it called? The Hail Mary at the end of the first half. And I also think that offensive line stinks. And he's getting hit every single play. But the Jets have problems all over the field. And they had every chance to win that game too. They have problems all over the field. They still had every chance to win that game if the kicking was not, incapable. They had every chance to win that game. So there's that has to be admitted as well. That they could have 2 wins in the bag right now over Denver and over the Buffalo Bills if the kicking wasn't as bad as it was. So there's it's a whole whirlwind of dysfunction. And we'll see if they can turn it around, and maybe this, back against the wall behind the 8 ball lights them up. But they made a trade. Devontae Adams in. Buffalo Bills made a trade. Amari Cooper in. NFL Week 7 on this Sunday, 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network, kicks us off in just over an hour. Now let's segue a little bit onto the trade side of things. Let's stick with it. Those 2 teams made trades. It seems like every other player in the league is being inquired about right now, because this is about the time where people, all right, there's buy or sell mode on the NFL front offices. Do you sell and get some picks? Do you hold and see what the team handles? Or are you a buyer and you need to improve your team before the deadline? Cade, I have a couple teams for you I'm going to read. I want to get your thoughts as well on teams that you think should still make a trade. Now, the teams I think, of course, everybody wants to bring up the Lions. Of course, that's an obvious pick. The Lions need pass rush help. Despite Aiden Hutchinson maybe being available for the Super Bowl, you cannot rely on that. They need pass rushing help. That is without a doubt. So I think we could both just agree on that and move on, because everybody's talking about how the Lions need to make a move for a big-time pass rusher. Another 2 teams that I think, 3, that I think should make a trade. Number 1, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are 4-2, but I think they're like bottom 3 in the league in pressure rate. If this is going to be sustainable, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're going to need to acquire some pass rushing help. It can't just be the Judon show, go get somebody. Falcons are 4-2. The division is wide open. You got the Buccaneers already there, but you have a head-to-head win over them. The Saints have fallen off an absolute cliff. We saw that on Thursday Night Football. This is a very takeable division and a top-heavy NFC on that side of things other than the NFC North. This is going to be a tricky deadline for them. They need pass rushing help because the rest of the team is good. They have a great back half. They have a great secondary. And they have a pretty okay offensive line. Cousins is getting better. They need pass rushing help. The other team I listed was the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, if we want to get into the fiasco of switching quarterbacks every 5 seconds between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, you need receiver help. Bottom line. You need receiver help. There are so many teams selling receivers, and nobody can get out of a team more than a receiver can based on their power in the media. Go get somebody. He doesn't need to be top end. Go call the Jacksonville Jaguars about Christian Kirk. Go call teams that are poor, do not need the receivers on their roster. Call and inquire about getting a receiver. DeAndre Hopkins, go call about them. Call and see if you could get a receiver and bolster that team just a little bit. I know you tried to get Ayuk and it didn't work out. I know Deebo Samuel's being floated. He's not moving anywhere. Those are my two teams outside of the Lions that I think most need to make trades. It's the Falcons and the Steelers.
I would love those teams to make trades and really get things interesting in both of their divisions. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers right now tied atop the division with the Baltimore Ravens, who look like one of the hottest teams in the NFL. But this is still an unbelievable defense that they've got in the Steel City, and they could really use a receiver to match up and really have a greater connection with one of their quarterbacks. I mean, the biggest thing that we've said about Justin Fields is not because he can't score points. It's because he can't throw the ball. And when you're going to eventually get behind in a game, you're going to have someone who throws the ball. And right now, I don't know if Pittsburgh or the rest of the nation trusts Justin Fields to do that. If you have a number one wide receiver, a true wide receiver in there, or at least a great number two.
Yeah, I know they have a Pickens. They need somebody in the middle of the field.
Yep. If you can make that happen and have a good relationship with your quarterback, that could be a game changer for the Steelers, who honestly, outside of their division, have a favorable schedule. And I like your Falcons take as well. Right up there with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is now a 2-horse race in that division. Tampa Bay with an explosive offense. They'll have to play each other one more time this year. In Tampa, you're going to need someone to help out. The two teams that I wrote down, and I think this one's another one like your Lions one where it's a little bit too obvious. I think Kansas City could also go for a receiver. Now, I have a hotter take on who they should get. I think it's T. Higgins. I think they should actually spend money on this receiver and get someone who they can keep not only for this year, but also run it back another year. Kansas City is not the type of team to spend money on a receiver. We saw that with Tyreek Hill. But I think Andy Reid, if he has a conversation with T. Higgins, can convince him to take less than what he's been demanding of Cincinnati in order to win ball games. Because if there's one thing T. Higgins knows, it's losing to Kansas City in the brightest lights. It's losing to Kansas City in the brightest lights, having been with Cincinnati.
Right.
I think the Kansas City Chiefs could potentially make that happen instead of getting someone washed who, I know I'm saying it as a Texans fan, but DeAndre Hopkins is done. I don't think he's worthy of a number one wide receiver or even a one-year contract like that.
I think Christian Kirk is worth a call for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Also true. But how long is his contract with Jacksonville? I thought he had 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah, he does. And it's not terribly, it's like an $18 million year, but they could figure out the cap logistics. They're not going to be re-signing him immediately. If that's
I got you. Because he did cross my mind, and I was like, I thought he was
And the Jacksonville would move him if he was asked for if they threw him a third-round pick or something like that. But I'm sort of on the other end of the fence on that. Before you get to your next one, the Kansas City one, because I think Kansas City is almost immune to it. Receivers is not necessarily a championship winning move making, if that makes sense. I know I just said that certain teams should go get a receiver, but I wouldn't call it a championship winning deadline acquisition.
It's not. And I don't think Kansas City is any weaker if they don't get one.
And that's part of my philosophy there is I don't think that because they know that the receivers don't necessarily change the game for them, I don't know if it's worth allocating the resources for it.
Very true. So here's 2 others that I think are more necessary and could mix up the pot a lot more. I've got the Washington Commanders. for either a great number 2 wide receiver or also a pass rusher for the Commanders as well. You're looking atop the division at 4-2.
They need secondary help as well. They need to have some help all over the field.
Pretty much, but if you could see a blockbuster trade come into Washington for a team that I don't even think they thought they were going to be in this position to start the season.
Right.
Everyone in their division looks weak, and the rest of the NFC, they've proven themselves to beat. So a huge trade from any side of the field for Washington, I think, would be crucial to them going deeper in the playoffs. And the last one that I think we all wrote off, but now looking at the numbers, I'm a little more considering, is the Miami Dolphins. These Miami Dolphins have an opportunity now at 2-3 to actually make a run at these playoffs. There is only 2 other teams besides your division leaders who have winning records right now in the AFC. Your 7th seed is the 3-3 Indianapolis Colts. The Miami Dolphins, I know they've got a brutal schedule coming up, but could you imagine this? Tua Tagovailoa comes in, and he doesn't look good. Maybe he gets tapped and has to go out to the sideline again. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to have a good game tonight. Russell Wilson to the Miami Dolphins in 2 weeks.
Okay. Wow. So you're thinking that this is going to blow up within 2 weeks and then they'll move him?
Russell Wilson, I think, is going to have 2+ interceptions. I think the Jets win by 15 tonight. I think Tua gets hurt in the week that he plays, which is supposed to be not this week, but potentially next week. And I think that sort of trade could happen. A lot of more peace on the Pittsburgh side of things as to who their franchise quarterback is going to be for the future. And the Dolphins need one more star quarterback to come in and replace Tua for the rest of the year.
Breaking news out of the NFL side of things. Adam Schefter reports that the holdout is now over for Jets defensive end Hassan Reddick. He will report to the team tomorrow morning. They have agreed, it's seemingly to an adjusted contract. Reddick will be reporting to the team on Monday morning, so they will not be seeing him tonight. But his new agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said, we will continue to work towards a long-term extension with the Jets. So this is not a long-term extension. I think this is Hassan Reddick's new agent saying, just get on the field, play, make this your contract year, and we'll figure it out in the offseason. The Jets are also waiving $10+ million in fines for missing games. So not only is Hassan Reddick basically getting off scratch-free here, he will be reporting to the Jets. The Jets get some defensive end help with Hassan Reddick, who we haven't seen in 6 weeks. And you got to wonder what type of shape he's in. We'll break that down. We'll continue the conversation about who needs to make a trade. It's Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Huddle up at Hurricane Grill and Wings, where every day is game day. Dig into fan favorite dishes and new shareables, including carne asada loaded fries, honey hot wings, and boom boom sliders. Try our new cocktails like the spicy Guavarita and Red Bullerita, or enjoy bucket specials featuring Miller Lite, Modelo Especial, and High Noon during all pro and college football games. Grab your friends and family and swing by Hurricane Grill and Wings to see what everyone's cheering about. Visit hurricanewings.com to find a restaurant nearest you.
Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off. Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. The Sportsbook for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Trans World Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value, 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121, or visit tworld.com today.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen. When you need auto repair, honesty and reliability are everything. Trust the home for honest, reliable service since 1970. St. Lucie Battery and Tire. St. Lucie Battery and Tire has all the tire and battery brands in stock for cars, trucks, RVs, marine, power sports, golf carts, everything. Major and minor service repairs, free tire pressure, battery checks. St. Lucie Battery and Tire, over 50 years in our community. And now with 18 full-service locations, West Palm to the Treasure Coast. Go to slbt.com. That's slbt.com.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code DOD to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
Mornings. Nope, not my thing. But when I imagine a McDonald's breakfast in my hands, suddenly the snooze button is out of the picture. Now for a limited time, the 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast deal includes the sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles, Egg McMuffin, or the sausage McMuffin with egg. It's like a fist bump for breakfast that says, you've got this. It's time to gear up and seize the day. The breakfast hype is real. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Attention chicken lovers, we asked for it and McDonald's came through. Introducing the Chicken Big Mac. Treat yourself to the mouth-watering perfection of a Chicken Big Mac. 2 tender, juicy chicken patties sandwiched between a sesame seed bun, plus classic Big Mac sauce, tangy pickles, crisp lettuce, and a melty slice of American cheese. Hey chicken lovers, we did it. Order ahead in the McDonald's app and save 20% on orders over $10. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid through 12/31/24. Participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Excludes tax. Must opt into rewards.
Punch right, Zach. 15 tip scissors. Can it to 300 jet F stick. X has got a quick high corner. Be ready to keep attacking.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Hey there, race fans. Get ready for the ultimate NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. The Craftsman Truck Series playoffs and NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs doubleheader are races you will not want to miss. We have tickets for you to claim right here. All you got to do is listen in on the shows and follow along on social media at ESPN West Palm, and pay attention to when we are doing live ticket giveaways with our NASCAR or the movie Cars trivia game. What we do for that is we give out a quote, and it's up to you to decide whether it is from a NASCAR driver and which NASCAR driver, or Cars character and which Cars character from the movie. If you would like to purchase tickets, go to homestead-miami-speedway.com. For our NASCAR fans out there, keep an eye out for that. Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Kate Chumsman behind the glass. Hassan Reddick is ending his holdout with the New York Jets, according to Adam Schefter. He will be reporting to the team, not today, but tomorrow. Officially, Agent Drew Rosenhaus said that they will continue to work towards putting together a long-term deal. So no official contract details yet. I assume this is a one-year deal, but they are waiving over the $10 million plus in fines he has for the game holdouts. So Hassan Reddick will be joining a team that needs the pass rushing help. Is this a situation where the Jets, it's almost like it's coming together too late? The Jets all of a sudden are improving pieces of their roster that I think they needed. They're 2-4. And I know the AFC, the bottom half of it is, I guess, wide open. But is this too little, too late? You finally addressed the pass rushing. This guy should have been in the building 2.5 months ago. And you get receiver help. If you knew the receivers were a problem, make a move in the offseason, which was already theorized anyway. Now all of a sudden, it's week 7. You're 2-4. You're pretty battered already. You've lost 3 in a row. You got a tough schedule coming up. Is this too little too late for the New York Jets?
It could be, but let me quickly address Hassan Reddick himself. This is the luckiest man on the whole planet.
Yeah, Drew Rosenhaus is a good agent, so that was a good move.
If the Jets were reasonable this year, like you said before, if they had any sort of kicking game, they would have a winning record and wouldn't need Hassan Reddick right now. But the fact that they're in a hole early at 2-4, third in their division, they're needing every man they can get, going out and getting Davante Adams. Now they're willing to sign Hassan Reddick to some sort of deal. Details coming out in a second. Hopefully we should see. Hassan Reddick was banking on this team losing in order to need him, and they are. That has got to be one of the most cynical ways of getting a contract I have ever heard of, and he made it happen. To address your question, Colin, I don't think it's too little too late. I mentioned before how the Dolphins have a chance at this AFC playoff picture with the right quarterback. Obviously, the Jets are right there as well. They're sitting at 2-4. The 7 seed is the Indianapolis Colts at 3-3. There's only 6 teams in this entire conference that have a winning record right now. All four of them obviously leading the divisions. Other than that, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers at 4-2 and the Los Angeles Chargers at 3-2.
Yeah, the AFC is a little open there for those wild card spots.
There are some teams that could make a little bit of a run late in this season to squeak into those final few spots. The New York Jets could be one of them, as much as I don't want them to make it happen because I just don't like anybody on that team. I got to admit, Davante Adams will help a little bit. Hassan Reddick should help a little bit. Jets can make a run. Dolphins can make a run. I mean, Cincinnati is still in play at this point, so there's plenty of room in the AFC.
Jets looking ahead at Steelers, at Patriots, home Texans, at Cardinals, home Colts is their next 5. Texans, of course, will be on a Thursday night game on Halloween night, I believe. But not the most impossible schedule, a couple road games there. But to your point, yeah, all you need is a couple of wins here, and all of a sudden the Jets are back in the thick of it. Apparently, Jets owner Woody Johnson was said to be very involved in working it out with Drew Rosenhaus, who is Hassan Reddick's new agent that he signed a week or two ago. And it was an adjusted contract over the short term, and it's not $10 million plus in fines. It's $12 million plus in fines that the Jets have agreed to waive in order for him to hold out his contract. I think the Jets losing probably gives Hassan Reddick leverage and then be getting a little more desperate. But this is stupid. He should have. This is not like he got a new contract. Just show up to play. You thought you had all the leverage in the world, and all of a sudden you sit 6 weeks, you hurt your team, you create a terrible name for yourself, and now teams are not going to want to deal with you unless you have a great year. You're not going to have the statistics to back it up. It's going to take you a couple weeks to get going here. Hassan Reddick did not handle this properly, and Woody Johnson, the Jets owner, was allegedly very intentional in the idea that he was not going to trade Hassan Reddick for any reason. So Hassan Reddick back with the Jets starting tomorrow. We'll see, and maybe this provides a little bit of a spark for them to win tonight and then enter next week off and running. But on the flip side of things, week 7 of the NFL will be kicking off at 9:30, starting with the Patriots and the Jaguars. A couple good matchups today. One of them including a Texan and Packer game, which C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love. Kate had some thoughts for me yesterday. He's a little over the quarterbacks of the old age, and he wants to sort of shift focus into the quarterbacks of the new age.
You know, when we had a weaker slate of football last week, it was okay to talk about legacies. It was okay to talk about history. But we've got some matchups this week that are the here and now of football. I was sick this week all throughout any sort of sports media about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, about Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are 2 of the oldest quarterbacks in the NFL, and they're way past their prime. Specifically Russell Wilson, who I think is going to be a serious downgrade from Justin Fields. We're looking at a Week 7 slate that includes a young and upcoming C.J. Stroud with a almost you can call veteran at this point, even though he's played 2 full seasons in Jordan Love. Patrick Mahomes Brock Purdy, that's a rivalry at this point, and those are two young quarterbacks when it comes to the rest of the NFL. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, I know those guys are up in a little bit of age, but they're not the...
Darnold is young, too, so Goff and Darnold is interesting.
There we go. Sorry, I don't know why I said Cousins there. He's still with Minnesota in my head. But if I'm going to break down Week 7, I'm going to talk about not only the teams that are winning, but also these quarterbacks that are going to be the future of our league for 5, 10, 15 years to come, not the guys who are considering retirement at any moment. Let's talk about C.J. Stroud. Let's talk about Jordan Love, how both of these guys have brought up their teams, specifically C.J. Stroud from the depths, Jordan Love having to take a mantle of two of the best quarterbacks ever to play this game in Green Bay. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Patrick Mahomes could be the GOAT. Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions. That's the biggest storyline in the NFL right now compared to where they were 10 years ago. There is so much rich stuff in this NFL that I'm sick of hearing about the quarterbacks who are from the past and washed at the same time.
So let's start with that Texan-Packer game at Green Bay. The Texans, of course, have played pretty well. They've had a couple ugly losses early in the year, but they're very battered. And you're a Texan fan, so you know more than anybody. They got 10 people on IR. They got a ton of other guys out. Jimmy Ward, and of course, the Nico Collins is down. So they got a lot of injuries that they have to deal with. And the Packers, on the other hand, haven't really been challenged in terms of schedule. They're at home. It's an early slate game. Packers sitting at 4-2. The Texans sitting at 5-1. It's not the most important game in the world for the Texans to win, but this is ultimately a game in which the Packers, I would assume, are the favorite because just off the injuries alone. It's almost like are the Texans due for a slip-up week? A la Minnesota Vikings slip-up week.
I was about to say, there was your slip-up week, and that was simply because they were outmatched talent-wise and experience-wise. This team has taken a while to get together. The biggest key for Houston in this game is going to be the production of Joe Mixon. When he does well, the whole offense does well, which is my favorite type of an offensive system, is starting with the ground game in order to open up the passing game, and Houston's been able to do it beautifully. I told you last week that Houston needs a massive win over New England. 20 points, maybe their defense slipped up a little bit by allowing Drake May to come back late in the game, but the fact that your offense was able to put up 41 points against any defense in the NFL is massive. So I loved how we were able to produce on offense without Nico Collins. It all started with Joe Mixon. If he can play, this team is going to make it really close.
Texans have won 4 of their last 5. Packers as well, 4 out of their last 5. But, the Texans probably a little bit more of an impressive slate of games. They beat Chicago, of course. They beat the Buffalo Bills, of course. They had a tough loss against Minnesota. Minnesota also beat the Packers. But here are the Packers' wins the last 5 weeks. Arizona, the Rams, Tennessee, and the Indianapolis Colts. It's not a tough schedule at all. And I know they played well, and the Packers have proven to play well against good teams. You saw it last year. But I ultimately think that, this is a battle-tested game for the Green Bay Packers. Will they be prepared for this? But on the flip side of things, Texans have eked out a couple wins themselves, that Jacksonville game and that Buffalo game, in which Buffalo had a terrible clock management to finish that game. It was slated for OT 2 weeks ago.
Houston had a worse one. Nobody talked about that, but Houston made the dumber mistake the drive before.
True, but just because Buffalo handed them to get the ball at midfield, essentially. That's another problem for another day. But that's interesting. You need the run game to be effective here. Stroud has had his moments. Would you consider this a little bit of a step back this year for Stroud, or are you more impressed with his poise, that second-year development? What have you seen so far as a Texan fan from how Stroud has sort of taken steps forward comparatively to an otherworldly rookie season?
I don't think it's that big of a difference. Everyone's
saying
this
is the same player?
Well, yeah, the reason we made it a massive deal was because he was a rookie. He's just riding the same game he was last year, not making mistakes, but also not putting up massive numbers. The cleanest type of football will eventually produce numbers, and that's what C.J. Stroud did last year. It wasn't until more towards the middle of the season / the end where he was able to put up massive touchdowns and massive yards. He started off the season a few losses. I think they went like 2-3 or 3-2 to start their first 5 games. And it was a modest form of football for the Texans. It wasn't until the middle of the year, specifically that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, where they were able to come back and win on a last-second drive that really got everyone's attention when it came to the stat sheet for C.J. Stroud. He's put up a very similar year, and he's going to do what's necessary in order to win the Texans football games. That's what I have been most impressed about this team, is that even though they keep coming down to the wire, they're somehow able to eventually win the game. And then last week they proved, no, we're actually better than just single-digit victories. We know how to put a team in their place when we have to. Now, can you step up this time and play a team that's at your level?
Now, on the flip side of things, Jordan Love has been quite a streaky player all year long. I mean, based on, I know plenty of Packer fans. Based on what I was hearing from them, it was like Elway was walking into the building for them. But Jordan Love had a great week last week against Arizona, an easy one. But he's thrown an interception in every game he has played. He had a very strange game against Minnesota, that game they lost where they were down 28-0 to start the game, and Love was throwing the ball to the defense every 5 seconds. And, he's been a little up and down. He's got 6 interceptions on the year. Love has been a strange player so far. So you see if he can maybe settle in a little bit after that Arizona game last week. That's the Texans and the Packers. They'll be on today. I believe it's a 1 o'clock game, that Texan-Packer game. Yeah, on CBS. We'll get into that. We'll get into our trimester awards. We're going to give out some awards basically a third of the way through the season before Week 7 really gets off and running. Who's that Coach of the Year? Who's that MVP? Who's that Rookie of the Year? More importantly, who's the biggest surprise? Who's the biggest embarrassment? We'll get into that and more next. Stick around. It's Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
VIP experiences await at South Florida's only PGA Tour event. The Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches is upping the golf game February 27th through March 2nd with new luxury hospitality venues. Host colleagues and clients at the Shoreline Suites. Mingle with friends and family in the 1909 Terrace. Or treat yourself to the ultimate VIP week at the Yellow Flamingo Club. Limited spots remain. Inquire now at thecognizantclassic.com.
Hurricane fans, get ready for one of the biggest rivalries in college football. On October 26th, it's the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida State Seminoles at Hard Rock Stadium. It's an orange out, wear orange, and bring the noise in a game you don't want to miss. The Canes and Knowles, October 26th. Tickets are going fast, so secure yours now by visiting MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
You've got so many chances to win big on Hard Rock Bet. Even a small bet can bring in that serious cash. All you need is $1 and a dream.
Unbelievable. They've hit the parlay.
Let's go!
Big payouts for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smithball, Baez, and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smithball, Baez, and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Tee up your taste buds with the ultimate pairing, great food and golf. Theo Dorsey here at the House in West Palm Beach. Overlooking the park's world-class 18-hole golf course, the House offers coastal American dishes that will satisfy anyone's palate. The House is open Thursday through Sunday for lunch, brunch, and dinner. Stop by for an entree and receive a free round at the park's The Lit 9 Par 3 course. On the House. Visit thehousewestpalm.com for their full menu and to make reservations.
631 Smash F-Track Sneak on 1 alert to Smash on 1. Ready?
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Week 7 of the NFL season kicking off in just under an hour. I guess the Sunday slate, I should say. With the Patriots and the Jaguars at Wembley Stadium in London, Jacksonville there for the second straight week. They'll be on NFL Network. You can listen live right here on ESPN 106.3 as well as the Dolphin game. Sunday Night Football, you got the Jets and the Steelers going at it. Chiefs, Niners, you got a whole lot going on. You can hear it all right here on the play-by-play on ESPN 106.3. Kate Tumslin, Colin Russo, ESPN 106.3. It's Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. We're going to give out some awards. We've had 6-ish. The Thursday night game makes it tricky. 6-ish weeks of the NFL season. We're a third of the way through. Now we can hand out some trimester awards and see who a third of the way there, who is going to get certain awards. We get a couple to give out. Now, I want to start. Let's knock out the easy one, in my opinion. Rookie of the Year.
Jaden Daniels.
Easy. Let's knock that out. We're on the same page.
Absolutely.
No question there. I don't think there's much of a conversation there. For those Bear fans that want to say it's Caleb Williams, I get your head examined. I agree they've played well, but in terms of the surprise factor and how well he has played, all things considered, Jaden Daniels is the easy answer on the Rookie of the Year. But Caleb Williams has also played well, so I'm not going to rain on his parade too much. All right, let's shift a little bit more. Coach of the Year. What say you, Cade?
Let's say Kevin O'Connell. I think a lot of people wrote off the Minnesota Vikings this year with Sam Darnold, and a lot like Andy Reid, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell has kind of proven to be a guy who knows how to work with the quarterback he's given. He had Dobbs in there for a few seconds, or what was the guy's name he had in there for the astronaut?
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs. Okay, yeah. He had Josh Dobbs in there for a few seconds. There was a little bit of magic there, but he now knows how to use the quarterback he's given. Vikings at 5-0, leading a stacked division in the NFC North. As of right now, if they can keep this going, I'm going to have to say Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, biggest differential in the NFL. Think about the NFC North differential for a second. In terms of the Vikings, Lions, Packers, and Bears, the differentials are 63-60. All net positive, I should say. Plus 63, plus 60, plus 41, plus 47. That is pretty incredible considering that they're the 4 highest differentials in all of football.
It's wild.
In the same division. So there's nothing wrong with that pick. I would go a little different route. I'm going to go Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And this goes into my point I had earlier in terms of surprise. I think that's really where the Coach of the Year really goes. And I understand the Vikings definitely have an argument. But in terms of coming new into a franchise, the general manager is fresh. The quarterback is new. There's a lot of new faces everywhere, a new offensive coordinator. This was a franchise that a year and a half ago was pretty much belly up with terrible ownership and one of the more embarrassing franchises in the entire league, and they've turned it around this fast. A lot of it has to do with new ownership. A lot of it has to do with good general managing with Adam Peters from the San Francisco 49ers. But a lot of it has to do with head coach Dan Quinn, who's experienced, knows how to get the most out of his players, a good defensive mind, and they're 4-2. They talk about a surprise. That team's over-under in terms of win total is probably 5.5 going into the year. 4-2. I like Dan Quinn there, especially with the rookie quarterback. Just gives me a little bit more of an edge in terms of getting the most out of your team. But I understand the Kevin O'Connell pick. There's nothing wrong on either side of that. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky and interesting. The MVP. 6 weeks into the year. I know there's MVP trends in terms of position. But, Cade, what do you say?
I know we call him the king, but I think it's finally time to give this man his flowers. Give me Derrick Henry. So many people want to talk about how Derrick Henry is only having the season he's having because he's in Baltimore and Lamar Jackson helps him that way. That is factually not true. Derrick Henry has the most amount of rushing yards since he entered the league in 2015. I think he should have had the MVP season back in 2020 where he put up over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. And I think the only reason he didn't is because Aaron Rodgers popped off for over 4,300 yards, 48 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. Otherwise, that was Derrick Henry's season to lose. This man has put up over 700 yards in just 6 games with already 8 touchdowns. He's on pace to almost duplicate that 2020 season. And right now, unless Lamar Jackson pops off ridiculously, I don't see another quarterback putting up 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in this season. And I think Derrick Henry's stats will finally be above any other quarterback in this league. I want Derrick Henry. This is something I'm just also personally begging for. I'm done seeing the quarterback as the MVP when they've got other star players around them that are making their teams better. This Baltimore Ravens team is where they are right now because of Derrick Henry and Derrick Henry alone. Sorry.
We're going to make this a little boring. I completely agree.
Yeah!
I completely agree that Derrick Henry is the obvious choice for the MVP at the moment. You could go with Lamar Jackson too, but this is a lot of what we've seen from Lamar. What have they really changed? They had the running back committee, but now they have a workhorse back like this. There's 2 players in the NFL who have over 500 yards rushing. One of them is Jordan Mason, and the other one, 110 yards ahead of Jordan Mason, is Derrick Henry. And he leads the league in rushing touchdowns. He's 30 years old. He's also the last of a dying breed. He is probably, in the last 10 years, the only first ballot Hall of Fame running back in the field, and it's not McCaffrey. So
that's a great point.
It's just not as common of a position anymore. Running backs do not have as long of a career, do not as dominant of a career as they have had in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, even go before the 2000s. There's no Adrian Peterson. I mean, who else would be?
Frank
Gore. And
yeah.
that's just off longevity. LaShawn McCoy is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, most likely. Derrick Henry is. And I don't know how many, other than Adrian Peterson and Gore, how many first ballot Hall of Fame running backs there are left. And he's the last of a dying breed. Give him his flowers. I'm okay with that. Give him an MVP. If I had to go to another one, it'd probably be on the Lamar Jackson front. But I don't want to say that because I don't think Lamar deserves the MVP every year because their play style caters to him getting statistics and him being in control of that entire game. People wanted Allen a couple weeks ago. You're going to have to see more out of him. You're going to have to see more out of Mahomes. I agree. Break the wheel. Get away from the quarterback. Derrick Henry. I like that for both of our MVP picks. Wow, we're except for the coach of the year, we're basically side by side here. Biggest surprise of the year. Now, you could do a team if you want, or you could do a player. And I'm going to let you kind of go open-ended on that and see where you take what your biggest surprise is of 6 weeks in the NFL season.
So you can have Jaden Daniels as Rookie of the Year and have the team play okay. you can have Dan Quinn as coach of the year and have the team play okay. But the fact that Washington as a team is not only doing okay by their standards, but they're 4-2, putting up massive points, dominating games, and clear favorites for the division, that's the surprise for me. Not the fact that the individuals on that team are doing well by the standard we'd had for them before the season started, but the fact that they have just taken over that division, and almost a lot of the NFC at that point has blown me away for the Washington Commanders. So I know you had Dan Quinn as your coach of the year. I'm taking the Washington Commanders as a team as my surprise of the year.
Yeah, I understand that. That totally makes sense in terms of a team surprise. Washington has really come onto the scene and taken everybody by storm. So I completely understand that. From my perspective, mine's going to be more of a negative side, and it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not calling this is not a positive surprise. This is a negative surprise. Sitting at 2-4, I know they've had a couple close losses, but in terms of the scheme of the NFL year and what we've seen so far, they've bled a lot. And they're not getting any healthier. It's going to be a situation in which they're going to have to deal with that defense throughout the entire year. And you're going to need Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to play hero ball for them to even keep their head above water. And them at 2-4, they're coming off a win there. They were 1-4. That, to me, is the biggest surprise of the year. I thought they were going to be surefire Super Bowl contenders. I thought they were going to be Joe Burrow. He's had great statistics. He was heavily going to be in that MVP conversation. And I thought that this was the year that they'd maybe break through the huddle a little bit, them in Buffalo. But they have been my biggest surprise to a negative sense. Now, flipping that, the biggest embarrassment. I have a couple answers here. You could go a couple different ways, like we said. The team, player, coach, who's your biggest embarrassment? Third of the way through the NFL season.
All right, real quick, Colin. I have a new toy I want to try.
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
You're a fraud. Who is that biggest fraud for you, Cade?
Easily the Dallas Cowboys. You can say they have a 3-3 record, but they look nothing like a winning team right now. Not even a tying team. This team should be 1-5 right now at best. They're getting blown out of their own building. There's no one on this team that is looking good right now. Micah Parsons looks like an average linebacker. Dak Prescott looks like an average quarterback. There is no such thing as a run game. There's no such thing as heart. No such thing as effort. No one seems like they even want to play for that team right now. They're squeaking out wins against teams they should probably be beating anyways, and then they come home, play a legit team, and get absolutely walked out of their own building. It's not Jerry's world anymore. It's everyone else's world. They would love to play in Dallas right now. The Dallas Cowboys were supposed to be going back to another 12-win season, and then we were looking towards the playoffs. As of right now, they don't even look like they're getting in the playoffs with the rest of the NFC North right now as it is. You just mentioned all the stats. Dallas is at a negative 42-point differential right now for what we thought was one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. It's embarrassing. They've been frauds all year long, and last Sunday put the nail in the coffin on their season.
There's nothing wrong with that. Dallas has been embarrassing. I don't know if a 3-3 team can be labeled the biggest embarrassment, but I completely understand the perspective, knowing the expectations that lie around the Cowboys and the money they spent. And they have the quarterback figured out. They have their wide receiver figured out. They allegedly have their coach figured out. They have plenty of talent all over the field. But an embarrassing loss to the Detroit Lions last week. I have three answers. So I'm just going to go with all of them, and I'm going to think out loud. Number one, Deshaun Watson. I could have went with the Browns there, but in terms of an embarrassing performance, he's a terrible person. Nobody likes him in the locker room. None of his teammates like him. None of the coaches like him. The only person that likes him is his agent and the owner. That's the only people that like Deshaun Watson because of the money he makes them. Now, the Browns are behind the ultimate 8 ball with playing him every week, but he has been laughably bad. The team has been laughably bad. It's an open secret in that locker room that he should not be the starter. It's an open secret in that locker room that he should not be paid what he is, and it's an open secret that he's a terrible person. In terms of an embarrassment, to the NFL, to a franchise, to a team. It's hard to go higher than Deshaun Watson, but that includes a lot of off-field stuff too. On-field strictly, I think Will Levis is a giant embarrassment. Will Levis is terrible. 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I feel like every week we have a new clip of Will Levis doing something that is so questionable. You wonder how he got through college, being a collegiate, successful quarterback and a first-round pick. He might have been second. Will Levis has been absolutely awful. That team has been terrible after they completely revamped that entire roster, sitting at 1-4. They got the Bills today, aiming at 1-5. I know they've had a tough schedule. I took that under. Good pick by me, by the way. Will Levis has been absolutely terrible. He's been an embarrassment. They're going with Mason Rudolph. I know it's a shoulder injury, whatever you want to call it. But he has been so embarrassing. That team has been quite embarrassing, but not as bad. The thing is, they have talent. The quarterback position is what plagues them. And they have an offensive-minded head coach. Levis is terrible. He's been a huge embarrassment. I could have went anything Jacksonville there, but I didn't. I could have went Peterson. I could have went ownership in Jacksonville. I could have went that team just total. But I'll stick away from Jacksonville. I know how much of an embarrassment they are. That's another conversation for another day. Those are our biggest embarrassments. Those are our trimester awards for the NFL season on Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet. We'll blitz the book, presented by Hard Rock Bet next. Stick around and close out the program at Sunday Huddle, presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 106.3.
Mornings. Nope, not my thing. But when I imagine a McDonald's breakfast in my hands, suddenly the snooze button is out of the picture. Now for a limited time, the 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast deal includes the sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles, egg McMuffin, or the sausage McMuffin with egg. It's like a fist bump for breakfast that says, you've got this. It's time to gear up and seize the day. The breakfast hype is real. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Attention chicken lovers, we asked for it and McDonald's came through. Introducing the Chicken Big Mac. Treat yourself to the mouth-watering perfection of a Chicken Big Mac. 2 tender, juicy chicken patties sandwiched between a sesame seed bun, plus classic Big Mac sauce, tangy pickles, crisp lettuce, and a melty slice of American cheese. Hey chicken lovers, we did it. Order ahead in the McDonald's app and save 20% on orders over $10. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid through 12/31/24 at participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Excludes tax. Must opt into rewards.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code THEOD to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
Imagine a place where the sun is always shining, the drinks are ice cold, and the food is bursting with flavor. Welcome to Hurricane Grill and Wings, where locals and visitors alike gather to weather this storm we call life. You can escape here anytime you like. Today's forecast: hot, crispy wings with a 100% chance of frothy beers. Later, we're predicting big burgers and seafood tacos moving in. Escape the ordinary. Visit hurricanewings.com to find your nearest spot and enjoy a taste of summer all year round.
Welcome to Homestead Miami, your home for the racing high life. A track as vibrant and colorful as South Florida. An Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series playoffs doubleheader on Saturday. A Cup Series playoffs showdown on Sunday. And it's all caliente.
Side by side for the race lead.
NASCAR playoffs weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, October 26th and 27th. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Hell of a job, guys. Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off.
Delay a game on the guy who hasn't bet yet.
Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. The sportsbook for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Trans World Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Huddle up.
66 Hitch X Vegas Flare. I'm one ready.
It's time to break down the boldest plays.
Let's go, baby. Boom.
Hardest hits. Boom. And the craziest stories from around the NFL.
Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons.
This is Sunday Huddle with Colin Russo, presented by Hard Rock Bet.
Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet on ESPN 1063, live at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Colin Russo, Kate Chumsman behind the glass as always. It's a fun one today. We got a 9:30 kickoff between Jacksonville and the New England Patriots at Wembley Stadium in London on NFL Network. Hence the early one. We're going to be continuing to do that as long as the NFL plays in London. We'll be here nice and early on Hard Rock Bet on Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. Well, now we're entering that Sunday of Week 7. There's a ton to do. It's time to get involved at Hard Rock Bet. You've seen the first few weeks of the season. Go get started now at Hard Rock Bet. Last year, couldn't really legally bet in Florida till Week 14, but now, due to it being Florida's the only legal sports book, you could get involved today on Hard Rock Bet. You could bet on the touchdown scorers each game, passing yards, other stats, who will win, total points, so much more. They have it all available to you on Hard Rock Bet. Don't forget, great college slate yesterday. You could bet on that as well. You could bet on the MLB playoffs that's going on. There's so much to get involved with on that sports book. It's the sports book for the serious player, but also for the new player as well. It's got the sophistication that the experienced player wants, but it's got the simplicity that the newer player really needs to get acclimated quickly. You could try parlays. They got the trendy picks on the Discover page. I was just looking through that Discover page. Kate and I are going to give a player prop, and I'll tell you one thing. Amari Cooper's receiving yards, 36.5. That's the number there. I think it's a little light, if you ask me. But in terms of the popular parlays, they got one available right here. 5-bet parlay, anytime touchdown. Justin Jefferson, David Montgomery, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, who might not play, so keep that in mind, and Saquon Barkley. $10 to win over $140. That's the type of parlay that you can put together that they just have for you right here on the Discover page on Hard Rock Bet. Go try it today. All you got to do is get started and download the Hard Rock Bet on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Go online to hardrock.bet. Try it today. Get up to $100 back in bonus bets if that first bet does not win. That first bet can be a parlay, prop, the over, whatever you want in a game you choose. Try it today. Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Well, now let's make our picks for the week. Let's get into some Blitz the Book presented by Hard Rock Bet. So Blitz the Book presented by Hard Rock Bet, where Kate and I are going to be going through all the spread from the Sunday slate and giving out our pick against the spread, either together or apart, depends. And at the end, we will give out a player prop parlay with a team prop. That's how we'll start it. That's how we'll do it. Let's start on the NFL side of things. Let's start with the early slate game. Cade, Jacksonville is favored by 6.5 in London.
I like them to win. I don't like them to cover. I'm going to take New England.
6.5 is an outrageous line for a team that's 1-5. New England's an easy one here. I think New England's going to win too. New England plus 6.5. That's our first pick. All right, let's shift to Cleveland. Cleveland hosting Cincinnati. Cincinnati 5.5-point road favorites. 5.5 is that one. What do you say?
Cleveland has beaten Joey B every time they've hosted him in the doghouse. I like Cleveland not only to cover, but to win outright.
Wow.
Nick Chubb is back, baby.
Wow, you're taking Cleveland. I'll take Cleveland plus the 5.5 as well. I think it's a lot of points. This has a game that has 20-17 written all over it, or 20-15 or something ugly. Detroit, Minnesota. At Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 1 point coming off a bye, but Detroit's probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. This is probably the toughest one of the week. No wonder it's nearly a pick-em. What do you say?
I'm going to take Detroit. I think the hot hand will lead them to another victory on the road.
I agree. I think in a lot of ways, Minnesota's probably due to lose. Now, I don't love them taking a divisional game on the road like this, but it's going to have to happen eventually. Detroit +1, I like that as well. Houston at Green Bay. Houston getting 3 points on the road. A lot of injuries. Green Bay playing pretty well. Haven't really been that tested. What say you?
I hate being this confident, but I'm going to take the Texans on this one. I think if I think the Texans apply enough pressure on Jordan Love, he will continue to make mistakes, even though our secondary is much weaker right now with all those injuries. Joe Mixon, big game. Give me the Texans +3.
I'm a little struck on this. I think Packers are going to win, but I ultimately think they're going to win by 3. So that line being just 3 flat, I don't love. I'm going to go with the Packers -3 here. That's going to be my pick. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to play well. And I think the Texans don't necessarily need this game.
By no means.
I think the Packers need to keep their head above water in that NFC North.
100%.
So I think they'll be a little bit more motivated in that sense. So I'll take the Packers -3. Miami at Indianapolis. Miami, of course, a week before this, Tua Tagovailoa is allegedly supposed to come back from that concussion. Coming off a bye here, maybe a little bit more put together offensively. They're getting 3 points on the road at Indianapolis. I think Anthony Richardson is back in the lineup today, starting for them. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is up to you. But what say you?
I don't know, man. I don't know how Anthony Richardson's going to come out. Miami has had equally bad quarterback play. I'm going to take the team at home. I'll take the Colts.
I'm going to join you on that. I'm going to take the Colts -3 as well. Philadelphia and the New York Giants. The Giants at home getting 3 points against the Eagles. Now, they usually play the Eagles pretty well once or twice a year, so keep that in mind.
Huge game by Saquon Barkley going back at his old team in MetLife Stadium. I like Philadelphia winning by at least a touchdown. Easy -3.
I will probably take Philadelphia as well. What is that? -3. Yeah, Let's do that. All right. Seattle at Atlanta. Atlanta's played great. Seattle's it really needs a win here. They're getting 3 points on the road at Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta's home every week, but what's your take on this one, Cade?
Atlanta does seem to be home every week, and they're back at home this week, so might as well take them. Seattle looks very bad right now on a 3-game losing streak, and Atlanta is seemingly to find the hot hand right now. They need to keep up with the Buccaneers. I like the Falcons.
I'm a Falcons guy. I took the over on the year, so I'm going to go with that just off of that. Need a win this week. I like that. Falcons -3. Take advantage of that. But I think Seattle, I could see them winning today because Seattle's desperate for a win. They need one the worst way. Tennessee at Buffalo. Tennessee getting nearly 10 points. 9.5 in that one. This is a tight one, and there's been a trend where it's hard to win by 10 in the NFL. What say you?
It has been. Or you win by 30. There doesn't really seem to... 20-point victories don't come outside a dime a dozen. I'm going to say Buffalo. Because I can give either great reasons for both sides of this game, and I'm not fully convinced either way, but I'll stick with Josh Allen. Should be a decent game. I see like 50 yards and a touchdown from Amari Cooper. Nothing outstanding.
Mason Rudolph at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Watch them play with a little juice today. +9.5. I think Buffalo will win, but I think it will be within that 10-point threshold. Carolina at Washington. Washington once again getting 9.5 points there. Washington coming off a loss. Carolina stinks. Terrible defense. What say you, kid?
Washington knows how to beat down on the teams they're supposed to. This is going to be 35-10 written all over it. I like Washington big.
I like Washington -9.5 here. I'm surprised you're taking both the 9-point spreads.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But when those teams are so bad in Tennessee and Carolina, I'm seeing easy blowouts could come from either side.
On the Vegas side of things, they're visiting the Los Angeles Rams, who are back from bye. Of course, talk about a team that's desperate for a win. The Los Angeles Rams probably near top of that list. Cooper Kupp is likely not to play today, so that's based on what we've seen so far. But what say you in this one?
This is one I'll go with the Raiders. And I
-7 or +7.
Yeah. I have regretted going with the Raiders every time this year, it seems like. But I keep going so many favorites that I have to choose one of the upsets eventually.
You need to even out.
And I think it's going to be this one.
All right, last two really quickly. San Francisco -2 against Kansas City.
Do you like the Raiders pick on the last one?
Oh,
by the way?
yeah. Sorry. I like the Rams -7.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised by that. I'll take Kansas City. I think they know how to play in the clutch.
I think San Francisco's due for one. -2, San Francisco. I'll take it. Last one, the Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, +2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers at home.
I don't like Russell Wilson at the helm. I will take the Jets in a big one.
I'll join you on that. That was Blitz the Book presented by Hard Rock Bet. I'm taking the Jets as well, -2. You got Jacksonville, who's going to be taking on the New England Patriots, getting 6.5 points according to Hard Rock Bet at 9:30. You can hear that right here on ESPN 106.3. Big thanks to Cade Chumslin for helping us out behind the glass on this week 7 edition of Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. That was our Blitz the Book segment that we took every game in the Sunday slate against the spread. We're going to track them. And next week, we're going to have a clear-cut idea. Really quickly, player prop, team parlay. What is it, kid?
Real quick, before you say that, I did tally up the totals. Right now, you have a 4-team lead favorite on the total. Blitz the Book picks with 31 correct ones. I've got 27. We're both right now 1-4 on the season when it comes to player prop or team player prop parlays. I'm going to take Atlanta -3 at home over the weakened Seattle Seahawks. I'm also going to take Breece Hall in the over for receiving yards. Even though Devontae Adams is there, I see the screen game coming into big effects. Give me Breece Hall over 25.5 receiving yards. That's +257 on Hard Rock Bet.
That's Cade's. Mine, Amari Cooper over on receiving yards, 36.5. That's one play for Josh Allen. I'm going to parlay that with the New York Jets -2 tonight against the Steelers. Give me that one. That was Sunday Huddle presented by Hard Rock Bet. Those were our team parlays. We'll be back at it next week. Thank you for listening on ESPN 106.3.
The preceding program was paid for in full by Hard Rock Bet. Advice and opinions expressed during this program were solely those of the guests or hosts of this program and not of ESPN 106.3 or Good Karma Brands.